Morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. You guys are going to love this session. I've been looking forward to this, Andy, for about 2 weeks. Honestly,
me too.
I've got my pen, I've got my notebook and my pen. I am ready to take notes because I think we are going to learn so much from you. And for those of you who don't know Andy is the ringmaster and CEO of Angel Solutions, which many of you will know as Perspective Light. And you are amazing in your EdTech world, aren't you, Andy? Very knowledgeable. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I think everyone's in for a treat. We're going to have a fun session. You'll see the sort of person that I am. I actually have a ringmaster's hat here. So just for the introduction, there we go. We'll put the hat on. I'm married to a teacher. I've worked in education for 27 years. I'm a governor in both the primary and the secondary. So a lot of what we're going to be sharing and looking at today is things that help in real terms, not pretend ideas, not examples you think, well, I can't use that. Things that we know, all leaders, we're part of the head teacher community. So, of course, very much in touch along with some of our other colleagues on some of the real pressing issues that are affecting all schools. So hopefully today is going to put some wind back in your sails, put you on the front foot, and we're going to have some fun while we do it as well.
Oh, it's amazing. Thank you. And don't forget, everybody, we absolutely love questions, don't we, Andy?
We
do our best to answer them all. So please do feel free to ask questions. I've got a few that have already come in, so we'll chat about those at the end. If you can put your questions in the chat, we will see them and answer them probably 10 minutes before we finish. We're going to be about 40 minutes, aren't we? About 40 minutes, so 45 minutes. So drop us a question. We'll do our best to answer them, and I'll let you get started, Andy.
Wonderful. Well, what I really wanted to focus on today is, because AI is a very big topic, is we're going to make sure that everything we show today is completely free. Now, when I say that, of course, there are limits sometimes to the free tools out there. So a lot of what I'll do today will explore ChatGPT. There are other tools out there like Claude, like Gemini, but it's more to help you see how you can use those almost like your personal assistant, your butler, to achieve things that maybe you hadn't thought about before. I know there are a lot of tools out there that in effect provide an interface on top of ChatGPT. We're just using the pure native ChatGPT today. I'm also going to show you some really fun and innovative, again, free tools to do with images, to do with sound and music that you can all use, whether it's coming up with a happy birthday song for a member of staff on their birthday, whether it's coming up with some beautiful visuals for use in a slide deck or in a newsletter, or even in the classroom to bring some of your lessons to life. So without further ado, I'm just going to share my screen here and just go to ChatGPT. And the first thing I'm going to assume that you've all got access or can get access to that. If you struggle with that, by all means, I'm going to give my email address at the end so you can get in touch with me. But we're just going to have a look up here in our settings here. And you'll see there's lots of things in here. But one of the things that you can do is you can customize ChatGPT for all time. And the thing that I think is always worth all of us doing when you've got ChatGPT is, I know we've got some international schools here, but for anyone else in England, I've said, look, whenever you give any of your answers, please always use British English spelling. And I might say whether I want it to be formal, informal. I think for all of you, if you said I'm a head teacher in a primary school in England, a lot of its responses are going to be tailored to the fact that it knows now who you are. So again, that's up there at the settings. We're going to customize ChatGPT, and you could just put anything that you feel comfortable about in. I even let it know where I'm based, just in case there's any geographical responses I want it to give me. Okay, so with ChatGPT, what we've got to remember is, for those of us who are old enough like me, we remember things like the Microsoft paperclip that used to appear years ago, Clippy, in Word, and said, oh, I noticed you're writing a letter. Well, it was annoying after a while, and of course, things have changed. So some of the things that I want to share with you today are to do with documents or also in analysing things that you've already got in order to make them better. So to help us with that, I've actually got a number of documents that I've already downloaded. So for example, we've got a new school inspection framework. So all I've done is I've taken the Ofsted school inspection, which is in draft and in consultation right now, and I'm going to ask it some questions about any document. Now, it happens to be an inspection toolkit, but it could be your CEF, your school development plan, a policy. So we're just going to go through a few things just to give you some ideas about the things that you can ask that. So based on the new inspection framework attached, please can you summarize the leadership section? We suspect we may be strong, so can you give me a checklist of criteria for strong in leadership? Now, I'm just sharing that with you so you can see a practical example on the screen, but I've given it a big document and I'm asking it to go away and summarize something for me. And the reason I'm just starting with something like this is it's a good example whenever, as busy heads, we have consultations to read or something new comes out, especially around things like safeguarding. I want you all to treat ChatGPT as at least something that's going to give you that time back to summarize or look for something. We have a big staff handbook at Angel Solutions. And sometimes rather than opening it to see, oh, what's our policy about long-term sickness, or can somebody request 3 weeks off? I just ask ChatGPT, can you tell me in our policy what it is that I have to do when it comes to somebody requesting a long-term leave? So let's have a look what ChatGPT is doing here. It's summarized from the strong section of our Ofsted inspection framework, what those checklists look like. Now, obviously, that's just a very simple example. So let's look at a policy as well. And all the policies I'm going to be using, obviously, most policies are available and in the public domain on school websites. All of us, we love policies, don't we? They can be the bane of our life to keep them updated, make sure that we're regularly reviewing them. So we're going to look at a policy now. So maybe I'm going to look at our complaints policy. So all I'm doing is I'm attaching, you can either use the plus, or in this case, I just dragged and dropped this policy in. And I can say, based on our current complaints policy, please can you loop through and see if you can find anything that is wrong or missing and make sure it is inclusive. So once again, whether you've got a job description, whether it's a policy, this is a school that I'm a governor at. My wife was a teacher there for many, many years. And so anytime that I get involved as a governor in helping with updating policies is I'm looking for things that can at least draw our attention to certainly anything that's out of date or needs updating. And when this has just done a few of the responses in here, this is giving us well done on the strengths of the policy. It's citing relevant laws, including the Equality Act. That's great. But it's also giving me some areas for improvement and inclusivity gaps. Now, for any of you who've used a tool like ChatGPT, sometimes we get stuck and stop at the first response. Oh, I don't like that. I think what we all need to get better at is having that interactive chat with ChatGPT. So you can say, that's not quite what I was looking for. Or could you expand on that second point for me? So in here, it's obviously going through here, all the different sections of the policy for us. And it's coming up with things like this. Who decides what's unacceptable behavior? Please, would you include an example? Now, I'm just going to stop this here because or else we could be here for a while as it goes through the entire policy. And now I'm going to ask it to do something for the ambiguous section you mention in terms of unacceptable behavior. Please, can you give me an example I can include in my policy? This is where we're going to have a bit of fun now, because of course maybe some of you have already done things like this. You're used to going through policies. You're used to giving critiques. Don't forget, you can come up with one to start with. You could say, could you come up with a behavior policy, please? You can see sometimes ChatGPT, for all of you, when you've got the free version, sometimes there's limits to how many times you can upload a document. So here we go. It's giving me some example wording for unacceptable behavior that I can now use inside my policy. So now, of course, it's coming up with something that is based on its knowledge base and all the information that it holds. Again, if we don't like this, maybe we feel it was too formal, maybe it doesn't take into account the demographics of the type of parent, or the makeup and the demographics of the people attending your school. So again, you could still choose whether to include all this or not. Now, don't forget, you could take this, copy, paste it into Word, but if you wanted it to take out certain things, why not get ChatGPT to do that for you? Okay. So would you like me to refine this further based on your school's ethos, for example? We could say, yes, please. But I could just say, please, can you take out unreasonable demands? And can you come up with a version of this that is suitable for an infant assembly? So can you see that it's always going to do something like it gives me a revised version rather than me having to go away and then make those edits? Get ChatGPT to get whatever policy or job description or letter to parents that you are wanting to get right. If you're not happy with it, don't take it off into Word and make those changes yourself. Do that for the real personalization later. Get it to rejig, reorder, categorize, structure. You really want to feel that you get the maximum value from this personal assistant until you go, do you know what, I'm really happy with that. Okay, so we gave it 2 instructions. We asked it to remove, as you'll remember earlier, the unreasonable demands. So that's come out here again. And now look at this. We're doing an infant assembly, child friendly. And we're going to talk about all kind words, listening to each other, what's not okay. So again, it's just text only, but it's taken something that we've got, which is a very formal policy, and it's breaking that down to be a child-friendly infant assembly. So again, you'll see that just because you've got one thing, don't feel you have to go off and now work on that other content as well. ChatGPT is actually really, really good at coming up with content based on something you've already chatted to. So again, there's the formal policy, and the assembly version makes the core messaging engaging for young children. So it's finished off this little example. Based on the above, can you come up with a letter inviting parents to come to an assembly where we are introducing this new policy? We obviously probably wouldn't do that, but I'm just trying to see how you can follow on from something that we've already done. And again, everything in here, what ChatGPT is good at is memory. Now you can actually turn the memory on or off, so it means you don't have to keep telling it stuff. It will remember the fact that, oh, I remember you've done a policy on behavior, and it remembers that for future chats. Remember, if you keep going in a thread, it will automatically summarize what the theme or topic of that was, so that you can go back to it later. But if ever you want to start a completely new thread, you can just click on the new chat. Now, there's nothing wrong with just having an ongoing dialogue with the ChatGPT here. You can keep asking it all sorts of different questions. However, sometimes it's good to keep all your themes and topics in one place, because then it's easy to find it later. There is a search, which is super handy. And I'm going to show you a thing that probably as head teachers, you're going to love as well. So there is an app on your phones that you can use, but of course, not all schools have got phones used. But for the the ones who've been around a long time, do you remember the days where we would dictate things into a recorder and we would then maybe send it off to a typing pool to get typed up? If you want, maybe because you're not quick at typing, you can actually use voice mode, and it works really, really well on the app on your phone, where all those things that I've asked it to do earlier, we can actually ask it to do using our voice. Please, can you give me a letter I can send to our parents about the cost of our free school meals going up? Here we go. It's having a little think. Now it's giving me an answer back in audio, so I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to stop this. But can you see that it will give you those responses even if you tell it what you want? So for those of you who maybe typing is not your forte, or you just, maybe you're in a car and you've got your hands-free mode on, you could literally ask ChatGPT to do things for you. And when you get back home, all of those responses will all be there waiting for you as well. So you can also use your voice, which may well mean that rather than people coming in and knocking on your office, they can hear you in there thinking you're on your own, but actually you're having a nice friendly chat with ChatGPT. Now, there is an upgrade to ChatGPT. It's $20 a month, but some of the extra things it gives you, it's faster, the service is more reliable, but it also unlocks things like images. So if you are on the paid for version of ChatGPT, inside here, you can ask it to do images. I'm going to in a minute just show you a load of free image tools that are out there, because I want to make sure that I focus on free. But I don't know if you know this, but ChatGPT can also do images as long as it's in the paid for version. So can you give me an example image I can use in the email I send out to schools to support this letter? And again, this image that it's going to create for me, if I don't like the image, I'm going to ask it to recreate it. Or if it needs to be in a certain size or format, because this one it's going to come up with is square, I can ask it to come up with something that I need to fit the exact dimensions of a newsletter. Many of you may use tools like Canva, which I know have also got AI built in there as well. But I want you all to see I've got no idea what this is going to produce, but let's have a quick little look. Now, we might not want all of this school meal prices changing doubled up, but we might like that bottom bit. So again, you can say, please, can you redo the image to only show the tray with the food and no text in, please? So the reason I'm starting off like this is I want you all to get comfortable with ChatGPT. Doesn't have to be a one-hit wonder. If you don't get what you like, ChatGPT may not give me, it might put some text in here again because it's not infallible, but we're using this as part of a chat, almost like you've asked an apprentice to go away and do something. So there you go. There's our tray of food. Okay, we got 2 drinks in there, but you can see how you can have some fun with this. Now, to help with that, there are some free tools out there as well. So the image creation part of ChatGPT is not part of the free things that you get. So I think I've got in here, let's just go, oh, here we are. Here's an example. Again, I'll give you all these links at the end. I'll put my details up. What I asked it to do was create a logo for our primary school breakfast club, make it have a healthy theme and include an oak tree, as that's the name of our school. And it came up with these 4 images for a breakfast club. Now, I chose this because, of course, since Labour got in, and we won't make any political commentary now, but when you want to do something, if it's just an internal logo, maybe something for your after school club. So let's change this. Let's come in here and say, please give me an image for an after school club that is sporty in nature and called Jumping Jacks. Now, you'll see here, usually on free versions, you get a limit to how many times you can create something, often within a day or a month. Now, of course, they're going to do that because they're here saying, by all means, use our stuff for free, but we really want you to subscribe and upgrade to the premium versions. So what we're using here is limited in that it might be slower than the paid for version. And again, we have got some images there for our after school jumping jacks. And the lovely thing here is they're all fake. You don't have to worry about putting real children on if you just want the notion of this is going to be children in our after school club with jumping jacks. Now, it doesn't stop there. For all of us, there's lots of things that we can do outside of images. But one of the things that I think is really powerful is the Bing image creator. Now, Bing is just Microsoft's search engine. And again, even if we haven't upgraded in ChatGPT to use the premium version, so you can't create images, Bing lets you create images for free. And again, there's a limit to what it can do. So I want you to imagine that even for a lesson in your school, maybe you're delivering an English lesson and you just wanted to have a visual as the teacher up on the screen that is going to spark and prompt a story that they're going to write. So please give me an image of a mountain scene in the darkness with a small fire flickering and mist. And that's all I'm going to say. And I'm just going to ask it to create that image for me. Now, sometimes where these free ones, they want you to sign up. They just at least want an email address. So another handy tip is sign up for a free Google, a Gmail account or an Outlook account and use that for all of your logins to tools like this rather than your head teacher email address. And that way you can keep it completely safe. If you get any emails or spam or newsletters or requests to upgrade, you're keeping it away from your head teacher chat. Now look how quick and easy that was to create these beautiful images. So you can imagine if I was like year 4 and you had that up on your screen and you're saying, hey, look, what do you think's happening in this scene? Why is there a fire there? Who is this mysterious person? I'd like you all to go and write a story based on this image. You no longer have to go hunting or searching for images. This has got a lovely visual image that was created completely for free. Now, I'm now going to show you how we're going to get the best of both worlds. I might not always know what I was going to say here to get the best image, but you'll see how it's come up with a really good image regardless of my skill set. So here, I'm actually going to ask ChatGPT to give me a prompt I can use with the Bing image creator. So please give me a prompt to use in Microsoft Bing image creator to create a picture of a mountain scene at night with a fire flickering for use with pupils in year 4 in my primary school to write a story. Now, what ChatGPT is really good at is giving a much more detailed prompt so that rather than trying to limit my ability to get good images from a tool like Microsoft Bing, I'm actually using ChatGPT to come up with something that means I don't have to really think about the image that I want. So look at this, a magical nighttime mountain scene with a glowing campfire. So let's come in here. I'm just going to copy that and I'm going to come back to this image here. Notice I started off with 15 credits. It's now giving me 14. So I'm now going to put in my ChatGPT prompt. Now, again, sometimes there's limits to how many characters you can type in here. So I could go back to ChatGPT and say, it only asked for 200 characters and your prompt you gave me was 500. So again, I could change and I could say, please, can you give me a better prompt that's limited to 200? Now, of course, this is a very different image based on what ChatGPT has given me, but I want you to see that you can use ChatGPT for things even outside of ChatGPT, as long as you tell it what it's going to be used for. Now, at this point, what's really helpful to me is I will quite happily, I'm doing some generic examples. If anyone watching this live, the benefit of you being part of this session is if you've got any specific examples you want me to run through as part of this masterclass, please post it in the chat. There are no silly questions, and it may well be the thing that you're asking for is something that other people are thinking about too. And Lucy will let me know, because I'm not looking at the chat, Lucy will let me know if there's things that I can actually do here practically that are based on things that you actually want to do rather than just these examples. So please feel free to post this in the chat. Now, I'm loving tools like this. This is a free website called Suno. I have upgraded because I use this for all my team of 50 at Angel Solutions. And I've also been doing some fun things on LinkedIn by giving shout outs to all sorts of educators that are out there. And all I've done is I've taken their LinkedIn profile and I've turned it into a song. Now, what I use this for inside Angel Solutions is we, of course, with 50 people, get lots of birthdays or things we call angelversaries. These are work anniversaries. So, for example, recently, Rebecca Waters, who's one of our account managers, she's been a teacher all her life until she joined Angel. She'd been with us 5 years, and I was able to create a song for her. So I want you all to think as leaders in our school where you're wanting to, give a message of encouragement, of support, or recognizing birthdays. There are free tools out there like Suno. So I'm going to just make this one up. Our head teacher, Lucy Coy, is 40 today, because that's a true story. And can you make a special birthday song? She loves gardening, which is a true story. I know she loves gardening. Now, I'm just going to go and ask that to create that for me, and it does the lyrics and the music. And I think you guys will all be absolutely astounded if you haven't already seen tools like this. And it always tends to give you a couple of options. So I've got a folk-inspired Queen of the Garden song that it's come up with from that very sparse information. Again, I could use ChatGPT to come up with a song description. So let's have a little listen to hear. I won't play the whole thing because it's a masterclass. Wow, what an awesome song. I'm definitely going to be sharing this with Lucy afterwards. You even get to share. So it's going to have a little link for us here. So we've copied that song. And the link that you can share with people actually includes a lovely little visual and all the lyrics for the song. So you can actually share that. You can post it in your internal chat. You can send it as an email. What a lovely way of sending some personalized messages to your other members of staff, whether it's a birthday, whether it's a welcome. So that's a thing called Suno. There are plenty of other song creation tools, but I just think that's so impressive. We'll even have a quick listen to the other version. Look at this. We like this one as well. I'm hoping everyone can hear this. Absolutely amazed what AI can do. And I think that's why we wanted to have a bit of fun with this today. There's even tools like Ava, which will let you create a composition based on using chords and scales. So again, in music, maybe for secondary colleagues who are on here, there's some lovely tools that I won't demonstrate now, but I'll include in the list. But here's another really impressive free tool of creating videos. Now, this is called Runway. And Runway lets you drag a still image that you've got and then brings it to life. Sure, as it's free, there's a limit to how many credits you've got. And again, you can pay to upgrade to give you more. So I am just going to bring in a picture And here it is. It's just of a circus ringmaster. Funny enough that I used AI to create earlier. And so here is a circus ringmaster with a painted picture. And I'm happy that that is the picture. So again, if you wanted to, I'm thinking for your staff in your school as well for lessons, but for you as well, if you wanted to bring something to life, maybe you've got an old picture of a colleague and they're maybe retiring and you just thought rather than just having a static image on the screen, I can now say ringmaster conducting an orchestra. I purposely wanted to bring some music, images, because I think sometimes it's an underutilized aspect of AI. People don't realize all the things that you can do because we're so used to saying, please, can you write me a lesson plan or can you come up with a behavior policy? Just wanted to remind you that it's a big time saver in personalizing content. And I think it's a lovely, lovely thing, especially if your staff don't know about these tools and you can come up with images or videos or music. So again, let's just have a look at what it's done here. Wow, now all I did was give it a static image. Now look, it's obviously, it's got two, it's separated that with two batons, but you can see the sorts of things that AI can do for you. One of the things that I've got here is, let's have a look, is I uploaded a picture of Ada Lovelace. This was more recently for International Women's Day. This is a free site. And again, it's just designed to bring things to life. So all it did was take the picture of Ada Lovelace and then make it animated. So here's Ada having a little blink. But you can see I can upload another photo. Maybe I could take that ringmaster one again. And you'll see it's going to animate that photo for you. This is super handy if you're doing topics like on International Women's Day and you just wanted to bring some of those old photos to life. You could do that like I've done for Ada Lovelace, and again, maybe makes for a more engaging assembly or lesson. So let's have a quick look at what it's done here. Look at that. How clever is this, that it takes a static image and it's just animating that static image for me. Now, let me just pause here for a second. Lucy, has anything come through with any requests for any personalized examples?
Well, we've had a few questions come through already. It's a really great session. Thank you so much, Andy. I'm taking loads of notes. I've never seen that before, My Heritage. So Jen has just come on and she said she's learned so much already. Thank you so much. Is there a way? It's a really good question, actually, because as a head teacher at the end of the year, you get hundreds of reports to comment on. Is there a way of summarizing the end of year reports with a leadership comment, obviously without compromising GDPR? So in the summer term, the head teacher has to write a comment. And if you've got 400 children in your school, that's 400 comments.
Absolutely, sure. It's a very common topic. You know, I go to BET every year. We don't exhibit there, but we go just to have a look around and actually to meet wonderful people like Jonathan and Lucy who are doing the same. Now, you'll see there's, I don't know, 100, 150 different apps out there that all use ChatGPT that are very good, if you like, at providing that interface in between ChatGPT and the explicit thing you want to do. So there are out there in the marketplace plenty of AI tools that are designed there to reduce that workload on whether it's marking or giving feedback. Now, I think let's be honest, the challenge we've all got here is even back in the day, your comment banks, you know, you use them to reduce teacher workload, but you also know you wouldn't want, you know, Jemima and Julian to feel that they got the same thing and the parents saw it and said, how can you say the same thing about our child? So I think what ChatGPT is good at doing is at least personalizing and making sure that every time it comes up with a comment. Now, I'm not going to cover the tools that are out there. Many of them are either paid for, there might be some free limits. But if you had an existing report, whether it was in Word, it had already come to you, and you now wanted to put your head teacher comment in, Some of the things that at least could save you time was using that voice mode, that audio version. So if you've read that and you just want ChatGPT to summarize what you said, then the first thing you could do without buying into any other tool was just dictate into ChatGPT. And one of the things I didn't show you earlier was that just because I dictate and maybe have lots of ers and ums in there, ChatGPT will clean that up for you. And if I don't like the thing that it said, I could say, please, can you shorten it? So let me just give you an example. This prompt here, let's just say that was my head teacher comment for a report. If I say, please, can you shorten this to 250 words? So obviously we can use it for quick editing. Let's come back into a head teacher comment, if you like, just to give you another example that maybe is more relevant to the report that you want to do. So I'm just going to ask it for now, give me an example head teacher comment I can use for a year 6 pupil called Jemima, who has really struggled this year, but in the last few months has really blossomed and shown a real love and passion for music. So I'm just doing this to give me a head teacher comment. So again, this comment here is ChatGPT's first attempt to put something together that we know is going to be very specific. This is not comment bank. But if I thought this doesn't actually sound like me, I said, can you reduce the amount of words, because maybe you've only got a couple of lines in there, the amount of words. And I don't know, we use terms like excellence in our school. I know that might not be a normal one, but I'm just going to ask it to weave in something that wasn't in that initial response. So Jemima, your journey this year has been remarkable. Despite early challenges, your dedication and enthusiasm embody excellence, and it's been a joy to see you flourish. So what you can do is you can upload your school's vision and values, and you could then see, based on this vision and values, I'm now going to give you 10 pupils head teacher comment reports that I would like you to give me something that I can say that's different for each one. So this always divides opinion, because for some people they'll say, no, I like to do this personally, I don't want AI to do it. But what I think ChatGPT can help with is where we have dictated it, is to say, that's too long, can you shorten it? And it will keep you as the professional, but use ChatGPT as almost like an editing tool. I hope that helped as a practical example, but I mean, there are very specific tools out there that will use that. Don't forget, you can upload, if you've already got that report, you can upload it here to say, could you summarize for me some of the strengths across all the subject areas or all the different key stages, just so that you've got something that you then may use to then dictate what you want to say. Again, it might save you having to read through something if you ask it to shorten it for you. Now, let's be very clear and pick up on the last point that was raised there about, GDPR. What you got to remember is ChatGPT, and it's an open AI, servers are based in America. Now, of course, I wouldn't put something really sensitive in here, like, the child's address maybe, and their, whether they're pupil premium. I might anonymize it. Maybe Jemima isn't the name of the real pupil, but I'm going to give it a fake name, and then I'm just going to swap that out when I actually paste it into my Word document. But I hope you can all see the benefits of even uploading things like a policy and asking it to critique it. The policies are in the public domain anyway. So I think, yes, we're right to be sensitive to GDPR and privacy, but there are so many uses, whether it's songs, images, writing a letter to parents, where, yes, it will go over to the servers in America in the case of ChatGPT, but I don't think we need to worry. It's only when you start coming time to looking at things like personalized reports that you will have your own maybe policy or own comfortableness for how you use a tool like this. Jen, I hope that was helpful to see that you can do that for free. You can use audio, you can upload the reports, you can dictate to it so that you can get something back that's going to at least attempt to reduce some of your workload. I could even get it to adapt the one on here to say, I've got a similar pupil called Julian. Can you adapt that? But their passion is art. You know that that comment bank that's going to come back is still very personal. Any other questions that have come through or more personal examples requested?
That was really helpful. Thank you, Andy. And I was just thinking about it myself, and I remember those days. I do remember the days of writing the report comments, and it's quite tricky because it's a busy time of year. On top of that, you've got to write 400 comments and reports. And I suppose how I would do it is very similar, but I'd almost do it top end. So I would say to ChatGPT, can you write me a selection of comments in preparation for me to answer or put my comments on reports? So the ChatGPT would come up with a selection of very general comments, and then that would just help me get started, I think. Because sometimes you get writer's block, and especially when you're so busy, there's just no time to think. So yes, there is another question. It's a good one, actually. I like this question. It's all about planning, Andy. So do you know of any tools that can help me plan my year and keep me on track of important tasks?
Oh, that's a really good one. Okay, again, there will be tools out there again that almost put that front end on. So let's help you all by seeing you can genuinely use ChatGPT for anything. So I am a primary head teacher in a large school in the northwest of England. The reason I put that in is it's good to always give ChatGPT a bit of context. You know, I'm a school business manager in a very large secondary school, or I'm a teacher of English in an international school in Kuala Lumpur. It helps ChatGPT do its response. Please, can you give me a breakdown, term by term, of all the activities I should be doing as a head teacher? Give this to me as a checklist, and let's see what it comes up with. Okay, obviously all of you can personalize that. You could say, hey, here's the previous checklist I've inherited. You know, I've just arrived at the school, but can you update this? And if it's missing certain topics or areas, or if you say, look, I really want it, I'm trying to build community this term, can you also include things about parental engagement? It will definitely do that. So look at that. Here's a little checklist for us for September, for October, November. It's going,
Yeah, it's very good.
Going through everything. Sorry, Lucy, were you going to say something?
No, I was just saying it's really, really good list. I mean, it's scary, really, that ChatGPT can do that so detailed. But if I was going to be thinking about my year and thinking about school improvement across the year and all the events that come into that, I was wondering if there's a tool that you guys do over at Angel Solutions that might help people stay on track, because actually, you know, you do get completely swamped sometimes by stuff that comes along, and you don't want to lose sight of those important priorities. So is there anything that you guys can show us that you do? Because I'm sure that you have got a tool.
Sure.
And this was an advert, but let's have a look at what we've got here, because actually this might be helpful.
Inside our planning module, I'm going to weave this back into ChatGPT, but it's just helpful for me because in the absence of actually having somebody watching this give me their actual self improvement plan, obviously sometimes that might not necessarily be something people want to share. So, you know, we might want to do establishing monitoring routines in middle leadership is a target or an objective here. And you can obviously add actions in and set your monitoring statements. But in terms of working on the actual objective itself, so all of you might be using Word or Excel for things like that. So if I didn't have any of the actions or success criteria for this, but all I knew is there's an objective here. We want to establish monitoring routines in middle leadership. I can come in here and say, in our school development plan, if our objective is establish monitoring routines, middle leadership, can you come up with a strategy and some measurable success criteria? Now, lots of AI tools out there, which again, you pay for, but again, the free version of ChatGPT will always let you do things like this. Most of the tools out there just put a nice front end on this, whereas once you understand, you can ask ChatGPT anything, and if you're not happy with it, you can ask it to adapt. The challenge with ChatGPT or some of these other tools is you're then left with something that maybe you can download as a Word document, but then that's not a tracking tool. So of course, what we've got are tools like Perspective, which let you assign targets and objectives to individuals, and they can complete and update those things on their own. So let's have a quick look at what we just did here. I've got some success criteria here. So I literally might just want to put that into my success criteria here. There we go. I've now got something that's trackable inside Perspective rather than just contained in a Word document. I've got a strategy for implementation here. So I might want to include that in our school development plan. So again, I can add a description and a strategy in here that will automatically go in there. So whether you're using Word or Excel or a tool like Perspective, which is an upgrade from your Perspective Lite free toolkits that 20,000 schools in England have all got access to, what you can use this for in ChatGPT is something that maybe you want to upload your Ofsted reports, and in the areas for recommendations for improvement, you're saying, could you come up with some objectives off the back of that Ofsted report? You may say, here's our school development plan. Please, will you come up with some objectives I can use for our SLT? So I've got this as one of the objectives that we could have tracked inside Perspective, but I can also use this if you're just using Word or Excel. Maybe linking it to governors, can you come up with a version of this to give to a governor with responsibility for this area? So again, you think about, even if I said, look, here's our school SEF, could you assign for 4 or 5 different governors an area of this and come up with a set of termly tasks? Once again, ChatGPT will give you the content, but then most leaders go, where am I going to put that? Is it literally just going to be staying there in a Word document? Or am I going to use that in a tool that actually lets me track and update that and stay on top of that? And I think that's what Lucy's referring to there. So it means when I come into a tool like mine, I can see things that I'm responsible for. Established monitoring routines, middle leadership, I can say, actually, all's well here. It's in progress and it's green. Well, actually, I want to do something with that. I want to say I've completed that success criteria. I want to say, really pleased with progress. However, member of staff off long-term ill, causing delay to this project. And again, all those things that you want to keep updating, it's not going to be covered now. We're not here to demonstrate Perspective. I'm just letting you know that ChatGPT is very good at giving you the content, but you then got to go and find the place that you're going to track and do something with it.
Brilliant, thank you.
Any other examples or questions that have come through before I shut off?
So I hope that answered your question, Vanessa. So if you want to, feel free to ask another question if it didn't quite meet your thoughts. Please do so. And then we have a question from Mark who said, do you have any, oh, this is a good question actually, because I'm not so good at prompts. Do you have any prompts that we can use for policies? I expect the concern or the worry is, how do we know that they're safe legally sound policies if we're going to use ChatGPT to create them? Have you got any prompts?
It's a really good question. I think what I've done is I definitively would use ChatGPT to root out everything from spelling mistakes, grammar, or things that are missing. So, for example, I've got a pupil premium. I've got a lettings and charging policy here. Please, can you review the attached lettings policy and let me know of any errors or mistakes. What ChatGPT is quite good at is eliminating that sort of first round of stuff. So if you wanted to take a policy to governors, or whether you were part of a trust or a local authority, is already this is an interesting one, because the lettings charging policy is noting that it's mentioning a different school and it should refer to Northway. The school name, it should be Northway Primary and Nursery School. It's noticed that there's an E missing in the word nursery. So I think for all of us, we can definitively use ChatGPT for the let me spot the mistakes and the typos, so that you always, when you're presenting a policy, at least have got the you've got the example. Your starting point is much better than people just spotting all the typos. Now, you'll notice here it's actually in the legal and compliance issued, it's saying, look, you haven't mentioned safeguarding and DBS checks. So ChatGPT is still good at making sure. Now, is this going to replace you giving this to the legal department for them to go through a policy with their eyes? No. But what it certainly does is it gives you things in here that if they're not in there, you can ask it to weave in. So here it is. It's giving me all the final recommendations of what you would expect to do, which I'm still in control of. But look at this. It's saying, would you actually like me to provide a revised version? Yes, please. So it's actually going to go away and update that lettings and charging policy, putting all those corrections in. Now, I could be in a lot more control of that, saying, look, I only want you to include points 1, 6, and 7, or don't include the bit at the end. But it's actually going to rewrite that policy for me. Now, I could ask it to do it and download it as a Word document, as a PDF, and it will always tell me if it's going to struggle to do something. Now, I'm going to stop this and just come back to the original question. Would I want to ask it to create a policy from scratch and then put that on our website saying job done? No, I'm always going to ask it to do the rounds as part of our SLT or our governors. But you can ask it to do it in conjunction with, maybe there's a DFE example policy that's just been updated. Now, if you've actually got a reference document, something from Ofsted, something from the DFE, don't forget you can add that to ChatGPT or provide a link to it and say, based on this document, would you now sanity check this policy against that document? Now, you may have an example policy from another school, and you might know it has gone through that process. And you could say, would you compare my policy to theirs and let me know what's missing, or if any of the wording in there references anything that's legal? Maybe some other similar examples that I was actually going to include today is, some of you may have heard of things like Natasha's Law, and we think, oh crumbs, how does that impact our school summer fair? For those of you who may or may not have heard, Natasha's Law was about the unfortunate the death of because of the incorrect labeling of food. So if I said, based on Natasha's Law, please can you advise me how might this impact our school summer fair? And again, I'm assuming here that it's going to know what Natasha's Law is, and it's going to personalize what that law is for something that might be something that I'd be worried about as a head. So in this, it's saying, okay, wow, it's going to affect the food stalls and the home baked goods. So to stay on top of things, even if it meant you wanted to investigate in a bit more detail and you weren't going to 100% rely on what it's saying here, it's saying if food is pre-packed before being sold, it must comply with the Natasha's law. Wow, okay. So we got to ask volunteers and stall holders to provide an ingredient list. Please come up with a letter to send to stall holders.
That's a really good idea. Yeah.
Can you all see that it's not just about, you know, whether I'm treating it like a replacement for solicitors? I think it's more, look, tell me about Natasha's law. How might that impact? And I'm still in control of what I'm going to be doing with the outcome of that. I'm conscious we've got 4 minutes left in this masterclass session. So is there anything else that's come through or any response to anything I've just shared there that anyone wants to do the last slot?
We had a really nice comment to say, thank you so much. You changed her life.
Wonderful.
Policies on my pets hate. So these shortcuts, top tips and ways of using chat, taking on some of the workload are so helpful. And I think that's the important thing. It's like, you know, it's about helping you to reduce your workload, and that's where AI can step in and help you out, isn't it? And Andy, you have been so helpful, and you know, we've seen so many different wonderful things of how AI can support you, from image creation to videos to a song all about gardening. Thank you so much. I liked my little song. So yeah, really, really helpful. So I can see you've put your contact details up there, so I'll let you share those.
Yeah, so all I was going to say is from today, obviously, all I wanted to do was give everyone maybe some ideas of things that they maybe hadn't thought about, or that you can use with your free version of ChatGPT. All of the tools and links that I provided, my email address is here, andy.kent@Angel Solutions. You can follow me on X, old school Twitter, or you can just search me up on LinkedIn. However you want to connect with me, I will more than happy send you all of those free sites that you could use. Or if you're saying, hey, do you know of any tool or app that does that? Please feel free to get in touch with me. That's what we're here. We've worked in the education sector now for 27 years. You don't get to work with 20,000 schools without advertising or cold calling, doing exhibitions without supporting the sector. So you guys all do a fantastic job. And I'm just pleased to be able to give you maybe something that hopefully puts a bit of wind back in your sails again. So there's my details. Totally feel free to get in touch with me. I might not respond instantly if I'm busy that day, but please do get in touch, and I'll quite happily get in touch with you with anything I can do to help.
Oh, it's amazing. Thank you so much, Andy. And for those of you who are watching on demand, thank you for joining us today. We will put all of Andy's information underneath this recording. So if you head over to the comments, you'll be able to see all of the links. We're just so grateful, Andy. It's wonderful to have your expertise, to come in and share your experience. We all learn from each other. That's what it's all about. So thank you so much. As Jen so politely put it, you've literally changed her life. So that was
Wonderful.
great. Yeah, thank you. Have a lovely day, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.